Started at noon, U.S. stocks plunged today in reaction to President Trump's promise of tariffs and his comment over the weekend that he could not rule out the possibility of a recession. Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
Markets tumbled Monday with uncertainty over potential trade wars sparked by President Trump's tariff threats, making investors nervous. Trump administration officials say better days for the economy are coming.
I think that we're pretty close to having the uncertainty behind us, and as you know, when that happens, then the economy really lifts off.
Trump has paused some tariffs against Canada and Mexico, while he's threatening taxes on Canadian dairy and lumber.
I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country.
Canada is already striking back, with the Ontario government putting a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. Canadian officials say it will impact about 1.5 million homes and businesses in Michigan, Minnesota, and New York, costing an estimated $400,000 a day. Trump's tax threats had a big impact on party leadership elections in Canada. The Labour Party chose economist and former bank executive Mark Carney to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
Greenland is holding its parliamentary elections Tuesday amid Trump's play to make the island part of the U.S., saying in his address to Congress, one way or the other, the U.S. will get Greenland.
I think it's important to say that the election here shouldn't be something that other countries are affecting. It should be something that is completely up to us.
Polls show the majority of Greenlanders do not want to become a part of the United States, and they now want independence from Denmark as well. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Here at home, the two women accused of starving to death a 3-year-old girl were back in court today. A judge confirmed that the child's mother, Janae Perez, and her girlfriend, Ashley Utley, should be continued to be held without bail. The couple is charged with murder, assault, and kidnapping after Sarai Perez Rivera was found unresponsive at their Kapolei home last June and later died. An autopsy found Perez Rivera had blunt force injuries to her head and face and was deliberately withheld food and water. Police say they discovered that Perez's 4 children were hit with belts, barely fed, and only allowed to drink 8 ounces of water a day. Well, a violent weekend involving teenagers on Oahu. 2 separate incidents broke out within hours of each other. The first involved the beating of a boy at Pearl Ridge Center. We want to warn you, the video you're about to see may be disturbing. Now, this video was posted by the Instagram page Hawaii News Reports. It shows a group of boys kicking and punching another boy lying on the ground. The beating appears to stop only when a woman appears to step in and break it up. Now, a man who claims to be the victim's father says he was outside getting food while his son was playing Pokemon Go with a friend inside the mall. That's when his son was approached by 5 boys who wanted $20 and his headphones. He says his son was taken to the hospital. HPD says a 15-year-old suspect has been identified and arrested in the case.
I see a lot more of the teens, because we're in a community where both parents work. So, unsupervised mostly, yes. So that's alarming.
And later in the evening, police responded to another incident at Mayor Wright Homes in Kalihi. Witnesses say a brawl broke out between a group of young girls, a group of young adults and teens, where gunshots were allegedly fired in the air. The chair of the neighborhood board says she's gotten reports that it involves rival groups in the public housing community. It's unclear if anyone was injured or if any arrests were made in that case. Meanwhile, the Kahuku community has more questions after the arrest of 39-year-old Sina Pili. The mother was taken into custody Friday in the 2023 death of her 11-year-old adoptive daughter. Pili worked at Kahuku High and Intermediate School, and residents describe her as an active member of the community. She was arrested at the school, and the principal sent out a letter saying that the administration was aware of the ongoing investigation. It also emphasized that the alleged incident does not involve the school or its students.
I was shocked, and I see her around the community as well, and I wave hi to her as well, and yeah, it's just shocking, especially working for the school and around students. Even more, she should be protecting, kids.
HPD says Pili adopted her daughter Azalea just 2 months before the girl was found unresponsive at their Laie home. Earlier that day, police say Sina made the 11-year-old run outside their home, possibly as punishment for missing school, then punched her multiple times. Pili's 4 other adoptive children were taken into protective custody. More than a dozen gambling devices and cash were seized from an illegal game room in McCully. Narcotics and vice officers made the bust on Pumehana Street last week. No arrests were reported. And on Maui, a has died following a crash at Ting's Bridge in Wailuku. Police say the man was heading west on West Ka'ahumanu Avenue Saturday night when he collided with a curb and a retaining wall. Now, they say he was not wearing a helmet.
Well, friends, gather around. It's time for your first alert weather forecast. We've got showers and a couple of breezy trade winds out there going forward. We're really going to be seeing a better chance for rainfall throughout the rest of today, and those trade wind showers moving in as a small band of moisture is moving across the state. Let's take a look at our first alert radar and satellite. Just a quick glimpse. You see a lot of green out there. We're going to take it island by island. Over on Kauai, we are seeing some showers just south of the island. This is, of course, over the last hour. It's dried up since then. Moving over to Oahu, relatively quiet for now, maybe a few sprinkles along the Pali and the Like, and also over on Maui County. Most of the rainfall we're seeing right now is over the windward portions of Maui, moving in towards Hana. And of course, a bulk of the rainfall that we're seeing is just north of Hawaii Island and just to the southeast of Hawaii Island as well. Of course, we don't have a full picture of what's going on over on Hawaii Island because the radars are being blocked by Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll give you a quick look at our first alert futurecast and talk about how long this rain is going to stick around.
Thank you, Drew. The local sports community is mourning the loss of one of its all-time great announcers. Kyle Chinen has more on the life and legendary career of longtime Hawaii broadcaster Bobby Curran.
Calls for the snap, and Cordero looking and throws it. Got it to Martin.
Over the last 3 decades, if you tuned into a University of Hawaii sports broadcast, chances are you heard the voice of Bobby Curran.
Center Simplify Arena. Ethereal tonight with everybody or most people in white.
Fans will remember the voice that brought many memorable moments to life. Curran called UH football and men's basketball games since the 90s. He also hosted a popular sports talk show, The Bobby Curran Show, on ESPN Honolulu. In 2023, he was inducted into the UH Sports Circle of Honor. The New York native and UH Manoa alum called more than 400 games in 32 football seasons before he retired from calling football in 2022 to undergo a double lung transplant.
I'll fight this to the last second. You can count on that.
And he did just that. He recovered from his procedure to call his final season of Rainbow Warriors basketball last year.
And now in the corner, they zip it to Munoz. He's at the buzzer. He's got it.
Those close to Bobby will remember that relentless drive.
He still wanted to work until this very last day. I talked to him just a couple weeks ago, bedside, and he was talking about doing a podcast with June Jones and coming back on the radio. And, so he never wanted to stop.
If you cannot appreciate what he did and the commitment and dedication and perseverance that he applied in making that comeback after what he had to endure, then you are doing that a disservice.
Fellow broadcaster Kanoa Leahy credits Curran for bridging the gap between generations, from his late father Jim and Don Robbs to the current broadcasters working today.
He had an extreme dedication to the craft, and that is something that I think he represents as a connection, sort of this connective tissue to these other legends that we have recently lost.
Not only was he a fixture here in Hawaii, but across the states, having traveled with UH to their road games.
And not someone who was just respected here in the state, but West Coast and around the country. Because
Bobby Curran was one of the only guys I know that could go about talking about the New York Giants, then just segue into the University of Hawaii.
And that knowledge has been passed on to his peers.
Always be very thankful for him for always, listening to me and helping me out, and just always, sending a text or a call like right before a big game. Professionally and as a friend, it's gonna be a very good guy to miss.
Bobby is survived by his wife Jo and sons Max and Finn. Bobby Curran was 69 years old. Kyle Chinen, Hawaii News Now.
Ahead on This Is Now, after that explosive meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky, ceasefire talks are expected to restart tomorrow to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Plus, celebrating 50 years of Hokulea. We have highlights from the historic celebration in Windward, Oahu. Welcome back. We have an update on that growing measles outbreak, and it shows no signs of slowing down. The CDC says that at least 164 cases have been detected since January in at least a dozen states. The Washington Post says a patient in Maryland may have exposed other travelers at Dulles International Airport last week. Medical experts say they're not only worried about the growing number, but also the lasting impact it can have on your immune system. So far this year, 2 unvaccinated people have died, including a child in Texas and an adult in New Mexico. Top U.S. negotiators will meet with Ukrainian officials tomorrow in hopes of kickstarting ceasefire talks. Now, at the same time, Russia is increasing its airstrikes on Ukraine, launching a new wave of drone attacks overnight. Holly Williams reports from Lviv.
It's been 10 days since that explosive meeting between President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump in Washington. Following that, the U.S. suspended the delivery of military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine, both of those vital to this country's defense. Now, yesterday, Trump said that the pause on intelligence sharing had just about been lifted, but gave no further details. Meanwhile, diplomatic wheels are turning. Ahead of that meeting in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, a senior U.S. official says Ukraine wants to move forward. President Zelensky is visiting Saudi Arabia today. Here in Ukraine, though, there is deep anxiety about President Trump's upending of U.S. support 3 years after Vladimir Putin invaded this country. Last month, Trump inaccurately called Zelensky a dictator. In fact, one Ukrainian poll found that trust in Zelensky has soared to 68% here in Ukraine, following his public dressing down at the White House. Zelensky stressed over the weekend that his country has always wanted peace. But the fear in Ukraine and in Europe is that Vladimir Putin could use a ceasefire to buy time and then invade again in the future. And to stop that happening, they want the US to contribute to security guarantees. Holly Williams, CBS News, Lviv, Ukraine.
The 50th anniversary celebration of Hokulea was truly a day to remember. Billy V and Mahealani Richardson bring us the highlights of the historic event.
Aloha! From Hakipu'u on the island of Oahu, we're here with the celebration of Hokulea.
Thousands of people have gathered for this very special day, and it was at exact same spot where Hokulea launched for the very first time on March 8th. Hokulea is a Polynesian voyaging canoe that has traveled 275,000 miles around the Pacific and the globe. She arrived at Hakipu'u from Mokapu across Kaneohe Bay. Current and former crew members embraced each other and remembered a 50-year legacy of traditional wayfinding. It was on this day, on March 8th, 1975, that Hokulea first touched the water. For original crew members who are part of the maiden 1976 voyage from Hawaii to Tahiti and back, the day brought a swell of emotions.
As I sit here and I stand, what happens is my heart gets... My heart is sad for all those people that got me here, that I stand on the shoulders, guys like Kimo. We're fortunate that the canoe has brought all these different people together. And I hope the next 50 years, they got to keep going.
Hawaiian practitioner and UH language professor Dr. Kalena Silva was on shore and helped with the ceremonies for Hokulea 50 years ago.
Hokulea itself was a product of the commitment to a renewal of traditional Hawaiian cultural knowledge and practices.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to look at testimony to change, please, the ones you should stand up for are those children that were here today, speaking our language.
As part of an Aha Ava ceremony, elders, crew members, and community leaders took part in the ceremonial drink. Kamehameha students also performed hula to honor Polynesians who sailed in voyaging canoes throughout the Pacific.
So many people with happy wishes for Hokulea as they celebrate 50 and hoping for 50 more, if not more than that.
Reporting from Hakipu'u, Kualoa, I'm Mahealani Richardson here with Billy V for Hawaii News Now.
On the Garden Isle, Kauai's mayor calls it the field of dreams for future generations. Crews began working on the Medina Stadium Improvement Project. The $12.2 million overhaul includes removing the existing field, making upgrades to the track and the scoreboard, and adding a video board. Now, the field will also have a synthetic turf in hopes of maintaining year-round play and limiting the need for water. Renovations are expected to be complete by December of this year. The county is also seeking $16 million in state funding for additional upgrades, including new bleachers and lights.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, I'll walk you through your first alert weather forecast. Breezy trade sticking around, and we'll take you island by island coming up.
First Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
You know, sometimes when you're watching other news channels and it seems like their weather forecasts are pure chaos, well, here in Hawaii News Now in the First Alert Weather Center, we like to break it down just into two different weather headlines. We've got showers and breezy trades over the next couple of days, and really it's going to be gusty out there going forward. Let's take a look outside. We've got northeasterly winds around 15 to 20 miles per hour. In town, northeasterly winds around 15 miles per hour, but these are sustained winds, so we're seeing wind gusts even higher than that. Taking a look at our maximum wind gusts that we've seen over the last 24 hours. In town, 30 miles per hour. Kahului, 32 miles per hour, and over on Lanai and Lanai City around 39 miles per hour. So it's been very gusty out there, and these winds are expected to get a little bit stronger over the next couple of days. We might even see some wind advisories go up over portions of the island chain. Taking a look hour by hour, northeasterlies around 15 miles per hour. 81 degrees for a temperature outside right now, so relatively warm. We're not really seeing many clouds in the sky, and you're also going to be seeing these breezy trades stick around throughout the rest of this evening. By the time we get to midnight, we're still seeing some breezy winds out there, as usually we see the winds get a little bit weaker in the overnight hours. Taking a quick look at our First Alert Futurecast as we go throughout the rest of this afternoon, a better chance for some showers over the windward portions of Maui and Hawaii Island as well. Drier over Oahu and Kauai, but as we're going into early Tuesday morning, another band of moisture is expected to move in. This is around Tuesday 5 a.m., so you might see some rainfall as you're driving into work tomorrow morning. Let's go island by island to show you what's going on for Tuesday. Over on Kauai, scattered showers, mostly sunny conditions and breezy. As we're going down the island chain, you'll notice it'll be relatively breezy out there. 81 in town, 80 in Kaneohe, 82 in Kapolei, Maui County, mostly sunny, scattered showers and windy. Take a look at those wind gusts, closer to 35 miles per hour and even higher than that and at some points. Sorry, I was tripping over my words there. Kailua Kona around 82 degrees, isolated showers in Vaugi, and then Hilo 78 degrees and showers are likely. Mostly cloudy conditions are expected, and of course very windy on the northern portions of Hawaii Island. Some wind gusts could get up to 40 to 45 miles per hour, and that's why we're expecting those wind advisories to go up. Surf and shoreline forecast looks small on north and west facing shores, small in town, east facing shores, all connected to those breezy trades. It's rough and choppy out there as we're seeing a trade wind swell. Of course, this forecast is for tomorrow morning. Taking a look at your First Alert 7-day forecast, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all highlighted in red because of those breezy conditions. It's going to be warm out there over the next couple of days.
Thank you, Drew. Coming up in today's Good News Now, an old library book is found in New Jersey 99 years too late. We'll tell you what the estimated overdue fines are in 2 minutes. everybody. A micro artist known for creating amazing works you can't even see just broke the mold, crafting the world's smallest Lego brick.
Jeremy Roth has today's good news now.
Take a look at the world's smallest Lego brick, which Guinness World Records says is roughly the same size as a human white blood cell. This infinitesimal trinket is the latest wondrous work of art by the UK's David A. Linden, a self-described micro artist who's made a career of creating and sometimes recreating fascinating objects so small they can't be seen without the aid of a microscope. Linden says it's an artistic challenge that is demanding both physically and mentally. His latest little labor of love, a series of tiny Lego bricks seen here on the head of a pin, the tiniest of which captured the record of world's smallest handmade sculpture, reportedly 4 times smaller than the previous record holder. Speaking of toys, a Massachusetts toddler almost had to say farewell to a beloved baby doll after reportedly dropping it in a massive ocean tank at the New England Aquarium.
I was holding her over to see the turtles, and she dropped her. My heart just stopped, and there were maybe like 70 people up there, and there was like a collective
Thankfully, the turtles didn't eat the doll. In fact, they gave it one shell of a fun ride before the aquarium officials fished it out and returned it to its rightful owner. Don't worry, they sanitized it first.
Honestly, that doll was cleaner after we were done with it before it hit the water.
Finally, speaking of toys for girls and boys, a vintage book on the subject is now an antiquity of note after being returned to a New Jersey library 99 years overdue. Mary Cooper found it among her late mother's belongings and could have been facing an estimated $18,000 in overdue fines. But thankfully, the Ocean County Library is now fine-free and instead is proudly displaying the readable relic in their historical archives. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Though those Legos are microscopic or super small, they probably still cost
Absolutely.
Outrageous prices.
Absolutely. The work it takes to make those. Yeah. Thanks for watching This Is Now, everyone. More news first at 4 right here on KHNL.